our sages are clearly telling us, depart from evil and do good. They're not asking you for opinions. They're telling you, run from evil and do good, which is a message of a constant message. To us, the constant of renewing your days constantly. And this is... Huh? The journey to get, but once you start doing that, you're going to recognize how you're going to treat people. Obviously, we know that once you treat yourself better, your relationships change. Your relationships change. You become a different person. You can't give something you don't have. What do you want to tell you? You can't give you something you don't have. Once I have it, I can give it. So a good chance that you become a giver is because you gave to yourself. And you gave to yourself because you have the duty to feed your soul positivity. A positive word and a negative word has a big effect on a person. Even Rav Nachman says clearly in lesson 44 that speech begins with the mouth. Speech begins with the mouth. You have to speak victory into existence. There's no glory by asking for self-pity. There's two things that angered Hashem more than anything. Self-pity and complaining. You want an instant audit in your life? You could do two things. Self-pity and complain. Those two things was the reason for the long exile in Egypt. Because all they were doing was, and it was all fear-based. Even the Parsha of the week, what did they do? They didn't really want to, they were comfortable in their position. They didn't want, all of a sudden, we're going to go to Israel, who's going to be the vice president, who's going to be, it was all fear-based. It wasn't really, it wasn't from a good place, it was based on an ego. And the same thing with the fish. What was the fear? They didn't want to work for, they didn't want to pray, they just wanted the free thing. They didn't want to have a relationship with the Creator. So if you realize the underlying reason for these complaints were nothing more but fear and laziness. It was not because of the lemons and the free meat, and this was all the result. That was just what they used as an excuse. But the real cause of it was, I don't have anything to do with my Creator, and I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to go to the Eretz Yisrael, and I don't know what's going to be there. Now I'm comfortable. I'm making $375 here. Who knows what's going to happen in Eretz Yisrael? That was the root cause of the problem. So this is why the Torah doesn't understand how in the world are the leaders doing this. This is not Joe Schmo. These are the biggest tzaddikim in the generation. So how are the leaders creating that mission? And this is where our sages tell us, Shlomo Karbach says something. If you have a leader that has fear of things, run away from that leader. Leaders are not supposed to have fear. A sign that you don't have a true leader that has fear. Run away from that person. You need to have a leader that has no fear. That's a leader. And these leaders they had fear. They had a fear of what's going to be with their position. It was a selfish motive. It wasn't a motive. This is why exactly. When you don't grow, and you have a position of a leader, and you don't take that position, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. And this is why we have this concept. He has to understand the infinite potential he has. And when he's not using that potential, it creates the biggest judgment.